So, optic nerve would react to any insult in three ways. Either it would swell, that's an acute response. Most of the pathologies which affects the anterior optic nerve would lead to swelling of the optic nerve. So that's a response to any insult. After 4 to 6 weeks, if whatever is causing a damage to optic nerve is not taken care of, the disc become pale, and if the problem is with the glaucoma or some of the other neurological disorder, you can keep the lights on. Then the optic disc will become cupped. Okay, so please remember, disc edema or pale disc are just the reaction to the insult, they are not the diagnosis. Optic disc edema or optic atrophy are not the diagnosis, they are the signs. So if you see a patient with disc edema, these are the questions that you need to answer. Is it just an elevated disc or is it a real disc edema? That's the first most important question. Second important question, is this elevated disc or disc edema unilateral or bilateral? And we'll talk about it a little later. Third, you'll perform the optic nerve function test, visual acuity, RAPD, color vision, perimetry. Once you know that this is an optic nerve problem, if the optic nerve function test indicate to the optic nerve problem, then indicate to the optic neuropathy, then you need to ask yourself, is this disc edema because of an optic nerve problem? Is the swelling because of the optic nerve disease? Is it coming from above? Is it a brain problem, central nervous system, which is causing an optic nerve swelling, or is it coming from below? That is it an eye problem which is causing an optic nerve swelling, right? So let me show you this case. A 46-year-old female who comes to you with a sudden painless loss of vision which she noticed when she woke up in the morning. She said she was fine the previous evening. She woke up the next day morning and she found that the left eye vision is not good. The vision in the left eye was 624 while the right eye was fine. She was also on, she is a known case of systemic hypertension and she's on treatment for the last 2 years. And this is how her optic discs look like. Which optic nerve do you think is an abnormal optic nerve? Obviously abnormal. This one, which is the left eye, and the right eye. Which one is obviously abnormal? Left eye, right. Left eye looks abnormal. Somebody would say that maybe right optic disc is pale. At this moment, I would ask you to ignore it. So what do you think in the left eye is happening? You will see, you are seeing there is a blurring of optic nerve disc margin with a hemorrhage, right? So you have a 46-year-old female who has come to you with an acute loss of vision in the left eye. You found that there is a blurring of disc margin. What is the next step? What would you do next? Yes, please remember, always the next step is to confirm the optic nerve function. I have given you the visual acuity. You check RAPD. How do you check RAPD? Swinging flashlight test. Very good. So check RAPD. How do you check color vision? Which is one of the screening methods. It has been designed for congenital color blindness, but routinely used and good enough for the routine clinical evaluation. So color vision, visual fields. How would you check visual fields? In the clinic. Confrontation. Anything else? In the clinic. In your OPD, in your exam. So confrontation, Emsler. Remember, Emsler also gives you a central 5 degree. It gives you information about the central 5 degree, right? Though it is used for the retinal disorders to check metamorphopsia, but it is also, it can give you information about the central visual field. You can also use a red target and check the central red desaturation. These are the 3 ways by which we check the fields. So now we have a 46-year-old female. This is how the nerve looks like. You did the optic nerve function test and you know that patient has left optic neuropathy. What is the next step? You need to find out as to which group of optic neuropathy she is suffering from. So these are the broad group of optic neuropathy which I would give you. Any patient who you feel has an optic neuropathy, commonly it would fall into one of these groups. It would be inflammation, ischemia, it can be compressive optic neuropathy, nutritional, toxic, and hereditary optic neuropathy. So now in our patient, do you think it's an hereditary optic neuropathy? Why? Why no? Bilateral, yes. So do you want to say that hereditary optic neuropathy cannot start at a later age? Let me tell you, few form of dominant optic neuropathy can start in the third or fourth decade, right? So I agree, by and large, the age goes against a diagnosis of hereditary optic neuropathy, but it is not the absolute thing. Now, second thing, somebody said bilateral. Hereditary optic neuropathy are generally bilateral. That's right. Can any hereditary optic neuropathy be unilateral? Yes. Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy, LHON, can start in an acute or a subacute way, and it can be unilateral to begin with. Right? So, if I say this patient has Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy, am I right or wrong? Wrong. Why? No, I'm still not hearing the right answer. Probably it's there somewhere, but only thing I hear is murmur. Very nice. Our patient is a female. LHON is inheritance is mitochondrial. Generally, a full-blown picture would be seen in males. There are reports where you may find some defects in females, but for practical purposes, for exam purposes, you will say that LHON is not seen in females. So we struck out LHON. Can this be nutritional or toxic optic neuropathy? Yes, nutritional or toxic optic neuropathy are generally bilateral, and except few are generally gradual. The onset is gradual and progressive, while what you have is acute. Only one toxic optic neuropathy which would be acute and would be methanol toxicity, but then you'll have the history there. So you struck out nutritional optic neuropathy. What about compressive optic neuropathy? Can this be compressive optic neuropathy? No? Yeah, I'm hearing. Yes, again, you are worried or you are bothered if you say it's a compressive optic neuropathy. Generally, onset would be gradual and there will be progression. Very rarely, compressive optic neuropathy also can be acute if there is sudden expansion of a pre-existing tumor, like a bleeding. So that is stuck out. So you are left with either inflammatory or ischemic optic neuropathy. With a 46-year-old female, you are probably looking at an ischemic optic neuropathy. What are the types of ischemic optic neuropathy? Non-arthritic and arthritic. Which one do you think is happening in our patient? Non-arthritic. Why did you say that? Two main reasons or three main reasons. One, the age group, 45, 46, more likely to be non-arthritic. Arthritic is a disease of old age group, 70 and above. Second, the visual acuity. Arthritic AION causes infarction of optic nerve and visual acuity will be very poor. While here you had a patient with a 624 vision. Okay, so if it's NAION, role of blood test is controversial. Doppler study, neuroimaging are not advised unless the patient has a progressive loss of vision. So what do you do if the patient has NAION? Well, the management is now sleep studies and sleep apnea is gaining a little momentum as one of the causative factors of ischemia in the body. So you rule out sleep apnea. If it's a male patient and if he's on drugs like Viagra, that has to be stopped. Amiodarone seem to be causing a syndrome which is similar to AION, so that has to be replaced, and smoking has to be stopped. So first, patient with disc edema, NAION. 70-year-old female, sudden painful loss of vision. This is the picture. What do you think? Vision is very poor in this eye. Vision is 1/16. So this, you're still thinking in terms of arthritic, in terms of AION, but this looks like an arthritic AION because the nerve already has signs of infarction. The other pointer is that the other eye has a large cup. NAION generally will have the other eye having a small disc with a small cup, what is described as disc at risk. Remember, arthritic AION is an emergency. ESR, CRP, for the exam point of view, you would like to say that you will admit the patient, immediate steroids are started. Why would you like to start steroids? Yeah, you may not be able to salvage any vision in the affected eye, but the other eye can be affected within the matter of few hours. So subsequent, you want to prevent a subsequent attack of ischemia in the other eye. So disc edema, arthritic iron, non-arthritic iron, case number 3. 28-year-old female, gradual loss of vision for last 6 weeks. Vision is 624 and 69. This is how the nerves look like. Right eye, left eye, FFA. What do you think? Gradual loss of vision, don't say benign. Here you are right. First, you have to say this is papilloedema. More likely papilloedema. Bilateral disc edema, gradual onset loss of vision, progressive loss of vision with this kind of discs. This is papilloedema. What somebody described here as benign intracranial hypertension is one of the etiologies of papilloedema, and it is no longer called benign because it can rapidly cause destruction of neurons. So the acceptable terms would be pseudotumor cerebri, PTC, or IIH, idiopathic intracranial hypertension. So if you are thinking in terms of IIH, remember always do MRV. What is MRV? MR venogram. MRI, MRV, you have to order. Why would you order MR venogram? To rule out thrombosis, venous sinus thrombosis. These are the signs and symptoms. One point I would like to emphasize for us ophthalmologists is sometimes ignored. Transient visual obscuration is one of the important symptoms and more often seen in a patient who has papilloedema. Generally, the patient would describe it as browning out of vision instead of blackening out or whitening out of the vision. It lasts for a few seconds and it is posture related. So TVO is one of the important symptoms that you should ask. We keep asking headache, projectile vomiting and whatnot. For us, TVO, which is important sign of papilloedema, should be asked. So bilateral optic disc edema, we looked at 2 cases, unilateral disc edema, AION, arthritic AION. Bilateral disc edema, commonest would be papilloedema. The other commonest would be hypertensive retinopathy. So if the patient has a bilateral disc edema, always make sure that you have checked blood pressure. Okay? More examples. What do you think? Looks like disc edema, myelinated nerve fiber. And sometimes it can be, pseudo disc edema can be this impressive. This looks like a bilateral optic disc swelling, but if you look at the small blood vessels on the surface of the optic nerve surface, you'll be able to see it very well. So this happens when there is no axonal swelling. If the patient has true disc edema, you'll not be able to see these blood vessels because it'll all be fluid. So if you're able to see the blood vessel, you would think of a pseudo disc edema, and here patient had buried drusen. How would you diagnose buried drusen? Can do autofluorescence. It would autofluoresce on FFA, ultrasound or CT scan would show you the drusen. So if you are thinking in terms of disc edema but not a true swelling, generally these are the signs. Remember small discs, look at anomalous branching of the vessel. Sometimes you'll be able to see drusen on the surface, and all the other signs of true disc swelling or true swelling would be absent. Nowadays, OCT is gaining some ground in differentiating between true disc swelling and a pseudo disc swelling or disc drusen. So, in an internal contour, OCT drusen would look like this, a lumpy, bumpy appearance, while a true disc edema will have a smooth contour. So, we are talking about approach to a patient with swollen disc, non-arthritic AION, arthritic AION, papilloedema, pseudo disc edema. Anything else? Any other causes missing in a patient who may be having disc edema? What about optic neuritis? Can optic neuritis can come to you with a disc swelling? What did ONTT say? ONTT is? What did it say about papillitis versus retrobulbar neuritis? Well, ONTT said that more than 70% of the patients which were reviewed in the study were retrobulbar neuritis. So what they said is that optic neuritis if you see a disc swelling, you think of other cause because most of the optic neuritis would be retrobulbar. But ONTT was conducted on Caucasian patients in the United States. While what we have found in India is that 56% can present to you with optic nerve swelling. So in India, you would keep papillitis or optic neuritis as one of the differentials in the patient with disc edema. This is the other example of other cause of a disc edema. 46-year-old male with a rapid painful loss of vision, he became no PL in the matter of 3 days. And this is how the disc looked like. Any comments? So this is a massive, impressive, angry looking disc, right? Very substantial disc edema. What do you think is happening here? What is this? Yeah, this is a white centered hemorrhage or a rot spot. Where would you see it? It can be seen in a local circulation disturbance. It can be a sign of anemia or leukemia. So if I say leukemia and this, can you correlate? Well, that's where I introduce another cause of disc edema, infiltrative optic neuropathy. This patient was found to have infiltrative optic neuropathy, which can also cause disc edema. Another cause of disc edema, 10-year-old female who was told that she has papilledema. She also had a reduced vision. She was on acetazolamide for 4 months. And this is how the optic nerves look like. What do you think? Do you agree with the diagnosis of optic disc edema? What do you think is happening here? Alright, let me give you the full picture. When the slit lamp examination was done, patient had lots of vitreous cells on retroillumination. So 10-year-old female, lots of vitreous cells with disc edema, with reduced vision. When we did OCT, we found the cause of a disc vision, reduced vision. Patient had cystoid macular edema. So what patient was suffering from was pars planitis with a spillover posterior uveitis, which caused disc edema and macular edema. So another cause of disc edema coming from the eye, posterior uveitis or intermediate uveitis. Let's quickly look at pale disc. This patient came to you for routine ophthalmic examination, and disc is looking little pale, vision is 6/6 in both the eyes. How do you now determine whether this color is significant or not? Other eye looked similar. Anything else? So obviously first you would perform optic nerve function test, look at visual acuity, pupil examination, color vision, visual fields. And another important point would be, if you know how this disc looked beforehand, if you knew that this disc was not like this 2 years ago, you had a record, it became like this later on, you know that it is significant. So the important part here, look at the past medical records. Remember lens status, aphakia, pseudophakia can give you a false pallor of the disc, an examination technique, and if you are in doubt, you can also perform OCT. So pale disc, scenario number 1, when we are not very sure whether this disc is pale or not, look at the optic nerve function test. What about this patient, 25-year-old male with a gradual loss of vision in the left eye, vision is 6/60 in the affected eye. Any comments? Yeah, I actually heard the answer somewhere. Yes, this, you see here, the superior and inferior pole, they look reasonably alright. They look pink. And the pallor is mainly in the nasal and the temporal part of the optic nerve. So if I say that superior and inferior poles were fine, and the pallor is only like a band or like a bow tie, then what pathology you're thinking of? Bow tie optic atrophy. You would look at optic chiasm, because compression of optic chiasm, what kind of visual field effect would you see if there is a chiasmal compression? Bitemporal hemianopia. What it means, the nasal fibers are getting compressed if the nasal fibers are compressed, this is the kind of optic nerve you will find. And what is this visual field effect? Left eye optic nerve is completely gone. So this is an example of junctional scotoma, right, where you will find an optic nerve related defect in the one eye and a superotemporal defect in the other eye. This is because of what was previously described as presence of von Willebrand's knee. Its presence now has been disputed. So this patient turned out to be a patient with junctional scotoma and optic chiasmal compression. So remember, if you see a patient with a pale disc and if you find a progressive loss of vision, you have to investigate that patient. The first investigation would be neuroimaging. 34-year-old male with a progressive loss of vision in both the eyes. Vision was 3/60. Patient in fact had undergone MRI brain in orbit, and this is how his optic discs look like. Yeah, so if you see carefully, you already are seeing some kind of pigmentary disturbance at the posterior pole itself, and dilated fundus examination showed RP. So another important consideration, if you see a pale disc, make sure that you rule out a retinal cause of a pale disc. The retinal causes of pale disc can be RP, or these are the uveitic entities you will think of if you see a pale disc with uveitis, which is syphilis, sarcoid, Behçet's and tuberculosis. So pale disc with the reduced vision, optic nerve function test, and make sure that you evaluate the eye as a whole, which will include dilated fundus examination. So the commonest question you will ask when the pale disc is significant is it old ischemia or is it old optic neuritis? And these are the causes that you will find in the textbook. But you have to remember that India, you may not find those animals. Our environment, our diet, our genes are different, and you may be looking at a little different sources of optic neuropathy. So if you see a patient with pale disc, you make sure that the usual suspects are rounded up, and this is what I would say is more common for Indian scenario. In a Western scenario or a textbook, you might find demyelinating right here, but for us, infection and inflammation is a more commoner cause of optic neuropathy, followed by ischemia. Compressive toxic nutrition also is one of the common causes of pale disc or optic neuropathy in our setting. So these are the 5 steps in patients with pale disc. Make sure that it's a real optic atrophy and it's not just a pale looking disc. History and examination, which would include an optic nerve function test. Consider common etiologies, which would be ischemia and inflammation first. Imaging versus observation, especially in our scenario where patients may not afford imaging if he's coming from rural area, and directed laboratory examination. In conclusion, elevated or pale disc, the most important, stressing it again, perform optic nerve function test, look at the blood vessels in the retina, which would help you in both in optic disc edema and pale discs. Uveitis is one of the important causes which is often misdiagnosed both for disc edema and pale disc. VKH, Vogt-Koyanagi-Harada syndrome or sympathetic ophthalmia or any other posterior uveitis, posterior scleritis can cause disc edema. Look at the systemic associations, check the blood pressure in a bilateral disc edema. And this is the list of optic nerve function tests that you would like to perform in a patient with an elevated disc or a pale disc. Thank you very much for your kind attention.